All right. Travis Brown, Horror Movies Uncut, Submissions and Slashers. Yes, people, I am not in the studio today. I am at my lovely abode because, of course, I just got finished working out a bunch of crazy high schoolers that are getting ready for their football season to start. But you know where I am right now. I'm in the lab. I'm here to talk to a gentleman by the name of Adam MacDonald. And if you don't know this guy, you probably have not been outside enough watching IFC Shudder films, because clearly you didn't see films like Backcountry, which I don't know how you missed a film that had the biggest bear you've probably seen in the last 20 years on anything outside of Cocaine Bear. But what we're here to talk about today is Adam's new film. Made its premiere at TIFF. It's going to be on IFC and Shudder, coming out very, very soon. I got a chance to watch it this weekend. Super excited to talk about it. Out Come the Wolves, and I'm talking to Adam MacDonald. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm good, Travis. Thanks for having me on.
So we were just talking, because this is now the Travis and Adam show from here on out, because you have an older brother, you said, by the name of Travis. So knowing that you are a boxing fan, from what I'm reading about you, I'm curious to some of the interactions between Travis and Adam in the bedroom growing up, possibly with some boxing gloves or who knows what, oven mitts or whatever was being used, and how possibly we might see a little resembling of that back and forth between our two male characters that we find in Out Come the Wolves.
To answer your first question really quickly, I'll just say that he was a good older brother who toughened me up for sure.
He did the right job. Yes, exactly.
He was the stronger one, and I knew that. But yeah, so between the male characters, well, I mean, you saw the movie, and the fact that it's very difficult, I think, for her to have a male best friend who's secretly.
And we're talking about Missy. In the film.
Missy Peregrym.
Yep.
I mean, she's not blind to it. She's not a fool, but she has a best friend who's secretly in love with her, and he's been hiding that the whole time. So when someone comes in and can smell that as another man, to say, "Hey, man, this is that scene on the couch with the cognac," he's kind of making sure he covers his territory and says, "I'm not. I mean." She may love you that way, but I see right through you, man. So be careful. And that's just kind of the catalyst. It's right.
Yeah. And that relationship between the two of those guys, I mean, that's something that I think us young men have seen so often, when there is only one trophy, if you may, in the midst. So the interaction between the two of those, kind of harken back to what I was saying about your childhood growing up. Do you ever recall having situations where maybe you and one of your buddies, or maybe you and your brother, were all kind of fascinated or fixated on one particular thing? It might not even be a woman. It could be a bike that you guys wanted, that probably would lead into some of the writing points and stuff that you would see in here. Or is this just its own kind of beast?
It is its own kind of beast, because Anuka Okuma wrote the script, and we came up with the story together.
Gotcha.
So she brought in a lot of her own things and had that perspective of being a woman.
Right.
Because but this is what's interesting, I think, is like, you ask, we'll say quote unquote, it's all in the eye of the beholder. I get that.
Right.
But beautiful woman.
Right.
9 times out of 10, they got that friend.
Exactly. 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10.
But they do. I think it's just, I guess, they're in the friend zone. They're trying. What else they're trying? So a lot of people, I think a lot of people will see themselves going, "Ooh, that was me in high school. I should have just told her." Or if it didn't work out, move away, because you're harboring all these feelings, and when they're not reciprocated, they're going to build up and explode.
Right.
That's what happens with Kyle, basically.
Yes.
And so, asking, anyway, so I think a lot of people that watch the movie, I bet you, if a couple sees the movie and they're on a date or something, and he might go, is that me?
Yeah. But I'm curious.
You think you're in love with me?
Well, but Adam, think about this though. You've worked with Missy, plenty of times. I'm sure when she's reading the script of something like this, and I'd love to know her answer, but I'm sure you've worked with her long enough to kind of know where this would go. has she been in this situation before? I mean, she's an attractive woman.
I'll let her answer that when she's
Yeah,
asked it. But I'm hard pressed to find a beautiful woman who hasn't
right.
experienced that if in their life at one point or another, where they're surprised that this friend has feelings for them that they didn't pick up on or didn't want to pick up on. So
Yeah.
possibly.
And when you're looking at Kyle, so you're looking at Joris's character and you're like, okay, to be that person who you're coming in as a friend, because the premise of the story is he's coming in as a friend to teach her fiance how to hunt so he can write this article. Okay.
Yep.
Now, as journalists, we totally understand what it means to have someone with legit skills really showing you like what's to be done. But you're finding out right off the bat that like Nolan is also kind of smart enough to know that like this scenario is probably not in the best favor for everyone. But when you're looking at somebody like Kyle's character, like why is it that we always see these guys that know that they are in a sense kind of a third wheel, but yet they are so is this a film about obsession? Like, is there really because when I watch this film, I'm thinking about stuff like familiar, like they're familiar because they're two people who grew up together. But I get past that because now I'm thinking, wait a minute, is this more of a film about obsession? Because you know where she stands, you know where this is all supposed to be, and you know what you're here for. But early, even in the trailers, you can see that there's some possible other intention for Kyle when he's there. Why do these guys, why are they still around? How come they just can't get the hit?
They're so entrenched with the idea that it could eventually work out that I believe they hinge on that for the future. They're
Yeah,
relying on the future. So as long as this guy, Kyle, isn't committed completely, he would never get married, and she's still single, and they
mm-hmm.
have a pact from the past that is comical for her, that there might be a chance because no other woman compares to her, and he'll
Right.
take that risk.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you talk to him going, would you rather be, could you just marry this girl, Leah, that you're dating?
right.
That'd be a nightmare because he wants the woman he's in love with, and he's got to
Yeah.
find a way to do it because deep down, I believe he wants her to tell him that he's wrong, that she does love him because secretly somewhere he knows why it may not happen. So
Right.
he's just hanging on till one day they look at each other. She's like, oh, I feel the same way.
So my next question is, what happened to you as a kid growing up in Montreal? Like that you were just you and animals and like real animals, you know what I mean? And what I love about the fact that filmmakers like you are around, because if you're a kid who's my age, 45, grew up on syndicated television, we actually remember when they used to use a lot of real animals for things. So tell me about this love for like the affinity for bringing the true terrors of nature into a film like Out Come the Wolves. And tell me a little bit about how the handling, because I see that you give a lot of credit to the handlers and everyone. What was that process like? Because there is, I'm not going to give away anything in the film, of course, but there's a lot going on, man. And with what you guys were accomplishing in the film, I'm very curious on maybe a little bit of some of the issues or hiccups you might have ran into while dealing with this, because it seems to be a lot going on in the production with this. So
I had Andrew Simpson is the Wrangler.
mm-hmm.
He's like the wolf whisperer.
Okay.
He did
Let's go,
Game of
Andrew.
Thrones. I mean, he did Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I mean, I met Ghost. No, he's the guy. I couldn't do the movie without him, and he knew that. I felt that. And he was on the project with us. He hung on to the project before he got made for about 5 years, 4 years. So I'm indebted to him that he stuck with us through everything.
Sure, for sure.
And yeah, but like, like you were about the same age, and I grew up watching movies too, where much more tactile and real when this is a real animal. Like I saw The Edge in the theaters in 1997, and my jaw hit the floor. I was like, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm chasing that a little bit in like
Okay.
like Open Water. Those movies, zombie movies, movies like The Ring, and definitely survival thrillers, they capture me. Like when they're good. So I just try to recreate that in many ways.
Yeah. And it's hard
Also
not to create a survival thriller when you're talking about the elements like dealing with wolves. And it's such a different, I think it's like, I'm curious to the feedback you guys are getting too once you start getting your reactions, because so many people look at wolves as like the lone characters and they forget the pack theories about wolves. I think like it's almost like it's been embedded in society that the lone wolf is a thing where they forget, no, they do have family, they got packs, they got other stuff going on. It feels like that's something that you guys definitely wanted to make sure you put across when you were doing this, because there's interaction with the wolves that even watching the film, I jumped up a couple times like, what the hell was that noise that I heard? So was this all just Andy's work and showing what these wolves were capable of? Was this some of the writing that was brought into the mix too of what you guys actually wanted these wolves to achieve?
It was in the writing. I mean,
Okay.
and then I broke it down. We used the puppet, like all the wolf attacks and sequences was prevised and storyboarded and like forever.
Yeah.
To make sure
I mean, you just didn't let somebody get attacked by a wolf and figure it out and see what
No, we didn't put the long lenses up and just say, hey, let the wolves do whatever they want. We'll just find it in editing. No, we didn't do that. Everything was structured. But that said, like it was very important to me that, yes, it's an extreme behavior of the wolves, and mostly they're timid and they'll avoid you at all costs, and they have a very intricate social structure that is beautiful and we could relate to as social animals ourselves, I believe. But there's a ferocious side to them too. There's a couple of instances in the last, decade that are horrifying of wolves attacking humans. A couple. And that, you realize, oh yeah, they're beautiful, they're majestic, but they're also ferocious. But also the wolves in the movie were a metaphor for the demise of that friendship.
Yeah.
So they come in and destroy it essentially, and then get balance at the end. So that's their function basically in the movie.
Okay.
Because I think people think it's a werewolf movie. It's not a werewolf movie.
No, it's not a werewolf movie. Okay, like I'm hands down. I'll make sure to put that at the very beginning of the title.
It's not a werewolf movie.
For your sake, I'll be like, this is not a werewolf movie, people.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, man, it's been fantastic to finally talk to you, man, because I actually have been a fan of yours since day one. So big fan. Last thing I want to ask you, could talk to you about this forever, but what is something that you hope people take away from watching Out Come the Wolves when they see it?
I'll say it quickly, twofold. I hope that of our generation will go, shit, man, that's how they used to make movies. More of like, it's visceral, but it's current, it's tactile, it's real, the animals are real, it harkens back to those kind of like survival thrillers back in the 90s or whatever, but with a lens that is more of today. Yep. So they go, yeah, they cheer it on, like real wolves, not CG wolves, whatever. And that the younger generation are introduced to it that way and just go, oh, well, that was a roller coaster ride.
Right.
I want them to feel exhilarated. Simply, I want them to feel exhilarated and satisfied. And
we might save some kids from going to the woods one day. We just might save some kids from going to the wolves one day. So, Adam, thank you so much for your time, man. It was great to talk to you. Best of luck with the film, and I can't wait to see what you got coming next, man. Hopefully we see some things underwater for you pretty soon or something. Who knows? So, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Trav.